This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Off the Break Podcast. I'm not Cody. I'm not Cody at all. I don't know why I said I was Cody. I'm Kyle.
We both have those harsh sounds.
Yeah, the C and the K, and they all just sound the same. Plus, I am not smart. I don't know my own name. But sitting across from me is Eric.
Hello.
I know his name.
Eric.
Oh, there's that cuss sound again. I'm such an idiot. But welcome. We're gonna have there's not too much to discuss, but we still got quite a few things that we would like to go over with everyone, just so they're in the know-how of what's going on in the biz.
It's kind of a pattern of these slow news weeks.
Yeah, it's also the month of August, so be prepared, everyone.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a bit rough.
It'll peak for a week, and then it'll be down for, like, the rest of the month.
Yeah, pretty much. So everyone bear with us. We'll go on this harsh journey together of nothing happening in August. But we'll do our best, and we'll see how it goes. But Eric, you were able to actually catch one of the many movies that's coming out this weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on August, because Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was a very great movie.
Nice.
I liked it a lot. I mean, I guess I didn't really have any expectation going in. I'm not super familiar with the books. Obviously, they were like in our elementary school library nooks in the corner of the classroom.
Yeah.
And like the pictures are what stay with you the most as a kid, but I wasn't one of those. I mean, I was always scared of like horror stuff growing up, so I didn't like go out of my way to read them. So I didn't have like a strong attachment to the stories or the characters themselves, but yeah, when I went and saw the movie, I was really pleasantly surprised with, I mean, how far it goes. Like, it's an intense movie. There's no blood or gore necessarily, but they find, I don't know how you pronounce his name. I think he's a Norwegian guy, which is like blasphemy for myself to say. I don't know
As the Norwegian one of The Office.
He finds ways, like his direction it's so good. He finds ways to just make your stomach crawl, and his jump scares are probably arguably like the one movie I've seen where jump scares are like they work really well, at least in recent memory. Because you know, there are times where you've seen so many jump scares, and I'm sitting there like, like, this looks pretty cool, but okay, there's going to be a scare right here.
The timing lines up and...
Yeah, everything. Yeah. But then it's like, he like takes it, he swerves, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? And then I don't know, and then it hits you, and it's like, oh my God, this is intense.
I believe the director's name is Andre Overdahl. That's my clumsy American way of pronouncing it. I don't know how you pronounce it in Norwegian, so I apologize, but that's the best I could help.
I also don't
that'll help.
I'm not super certain he's Norwegian. He could be Swedish. I'm not sure.
Either way, I'm butchering that up, but that's the best I can do.
But the main selling point of this movie is obviously the cast of kids. There's Stella, and she's like an aspiring horror writer, which is kind of a refreshing character type that you don't really see a whole lot. You see lots of writers, and you see lots of like nerdy kids. Yeah. But hers is a very specific type. You know, she has horror movie posters in her room. She has a typewriter where she's writing up drafts of her own stories. And then you have Augie, who's kind of like a dorky, know-it-all kind of guy. The tall, lanky one. And then there's Chuck, who's just... I don't know, like a cruder Augie almost, but he's still like, you love him. He's definitely like the comic relief.
Okay.
And then they meet Ramon, who's like the loner, the drifter.
Out of curiosity, what time period does this take place in?
1968.
That explains a lot, because Augie and Ramon, those sound like names I've heard on like old sitcoms on. Yeah, exactly. Oh, typewriter, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's 1968, and there's actually a strong amount of like political and like social subtext with like the Nixon era and the Vietnam protests.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot in this movie that I was not expecting from just like a edgier Goosebumps, I guess.
But it still all fits together well.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
doesn't-
it's great because you watch it, and I was kind of mentioning this to you earlier, but you're just so accustomed to seeing a sequel or a spin-off, like an Annabelle 5, or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're watching this movie, and maybe it was just me, but I'm like, I've never seen these characters before. It's awesome to like be introduced to them and then join them on this journey all in the same movie.
Right.
Like it's just a new idea, and just I don't know. I don't want to give away too much because obviously there's like the big set pieces in the trailers, like the different scary characters, but
which all have looked great, even
oh my
back from
god,
the first
they're
teasers.
so stressful to watch.
Wow.
Oh my god. Like this is, and again, it's a PG-13 movie for like younger kind of like teen audiences, but this is probably the scariest movie I've seen, like
for that crowd, for that.
I mean, no, just
demographic.
like in a while, like in a couple of years,
Oh,
probably.
really?
Yeah, like, and again, scary is very subjective, but I mean, not only did I legitimately jump at like 3 or 4 jump scares and get that kind of like, whoa, okay, whoa, that like that buzzing electricity in your body kind of. But just the way that he directs the scenes it's intense. You gotta like catch your breath. But
I mean, just hearing all that sounds refreshing in itself. Because
Yeah.
I mean, horror is being pushed like really well and it's done very well in the last couple of years. But that's mostly R-rated horror movies and not so much PG-13.
exactly, that's my
blockbuster.
biggest point that I want to make is like you have to realize that this is a movie for younger kids or younger, teenagers or whatever, people who maybe think they want to start dipping their toes into kind of horror and the possibilities of that. And if this is like what they start with, it's like, okay, this is what you're in for.
Well, I wish I had that movie when I started out
No, it's
enjoying horror more and more.
it was a really, really great movie, and it's dark. Like it didn't end how I was expecting. I mean, nothing really it wasn't predictable, really.
That's
like,
good.
Aside from like oh, he's the bully, he's probably gonna be the first person to like
Right.
get attacked by the book. But yeah, that just goes back to what I was saying with it. It pushes its PG-13 rating. Like it's an intense movie.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, that's really good to hear because we've been kind of looking forward to this movie for a while because the trailers have been looking good. It looked like a different type of
Oh, you have that Del
PG-13
Toro
horror
stamp of
movie.
approval.
Exactly. Yeah, that's also a big boost
Oh,
for us here in the
yeah.
office. That's for
You
sure.
can see. You
Yeah.
can see it.
I hope you and other people that are saying good things about this movie attracts people's attention to go see this because this could be like a sleeper hit if all goes well. Don't you think?
I mean, I hope. I went to the late showing. It was like 9:45, but it was the last showtime of the day, and there was a good amount of people there.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming probably more went to the 7 o'clock, but
Right.
9:45. Yeah, there was a handful of like groups of friends. There was like this old, like really old couple like sitting in the
really?
very first row.
Oh
like,
wow.
What? Okay. Like date night, cool.
Did they get up and leave at all, or
no,
were they into it the whole time?
No,
That's good.
everyone seemed to like it
Good.
because I feel like it's unfair to compare it to it just because it is not meant for younger viewers.
Yeah, it's R-rated. The first one was.
But it does that. It has that really good tonal balance where there's humor when to break the tension, but not at the expense of the horror aspect.
doesn't take away from it.
Yeah, you feel all sorts of things in this movie. People always get so caught up with scary movies being defined solely by how scary they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, scary movies can be funny. They can be, romantic. They can be action-packed. They can be everything.
Yeah,
And
they
this
can
movie
be
has
more than just
Yeah,
a cluster of jump scares.
exactly. And yeah, this movie navigates that very well.
Well, awesome, and I hope people recognize that and give it a chance to go see it. That's for sure. Are you gonna have your full review up today at silverscreeninsider.com then? Shameless plug.
Yeah, I will.
Perfect. All right, so up on our podcast, we talk a lot about subscriptions.
Yeah.
At great lengths. It always comes up, and it's not stopping here on this episode.
Yeah. So before we talk about MoviePass again, I do want to say that there's an article on Business Insider that is, I mean, it's a great piece of journalism. It's really, really good, and that's where I'm touching on we're going to touch on a small part of that, but I can't recommend enough that people seek out that article because it's like a movie. It's like a Wolf of Wall Street type movie in the making, I swear. Like,
it probably would make a great movie.
Within 5 years here, you're going to be seeing a movie about the rise and fall of MoviePass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say this because it made me think of me and Kyle directly. But Mitch Lowe, obviously, he's like the CEO. His name was on all the emails they would send out their customer support.
Yeah.
But it was just announced that, or this article made it clear that Mitch Lowe instructed, or probably like commanded, his grunts to just straight up change the passwords of more of the what they call power users, people who, you know, didn't go or who went to the movie more than once a month.
Mm-hmm.
They just straight up changed their passwords without telling them, so they couldn't even log into their app or use the service, but they were, you know, still being charged for it. And then for other people, I'm just going to keep saying commanded. He commanded.
Please do. Go ahead.
He commanded his little grunts to just freeze like a certain percentage of other users' accounts around certain times. Like, I remember when Infinity War came out, it was kind of convenient that they were unveiling this, like, well, you know, there's going to be certain blackout periods, and not all movies can be covered with MoviePass.
That happened with Mission Impossible Fallout too, right?
Oh,
when
yeah.
there's some
Mission Impossible Fallout is when he
That's really
explicitly
when it
made it a thing. He's like, because there's all sorts of reports from former employees of MoviePass in that article, but they're all talking about how Mitch Lowe, and I forget the other people's name. It wasn't just him. There was like 3 head honchos.
Oh yeah, there's other people working close with him. Yeah, probably good friends and
just frauds. But yeah, basically he would just tell them to just shut it down. We're not doing any sort of blockbusters anymore. They had this thing called the tripwire system, where I think this was after
that name.
Yeah, I
it's
think
awful, but
after they like had their first big bankruptcy and they had to borrow like $5 million. I remember when that happened. Yeah, they had this thing called the tripwire system, where basically they would be keeping track of how much money had been spent in each day through MoviePass users, and if it crossed a certain threshold, the app would just shut down, and they would just say, they would put a little note on the app saying there are no showings for this movie today, and it's like, yes, there is. I am looking at them right now. It's like, no, there's no more showings. Sorry.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. It just made me laugh because Kyle and I were probably the biggest power user, like in the top, like, whatever 10% of power users.
Before it got all shady, we
at the
used
peak it was
so
like
much.
3-4 times a week, sometimes more. It was awesome. But
it was really awesome.
the writing was on the wall for so long, and I just loved finally hearing like the actual like behind the scenes of the drama, because it's just so ridiculous. It's so sad.
Yeah.
The saddest part was the original founder of the company. His name was, I can't remember his name. It starts with an S. But he was fired from the company because he kept getting a little bit too hesitant. He's like, guys, there's no way that $10 a month is going to be enough.
This is not feasible.
This isn't going to work. This isn't really super ethical. So they ousted him and then just ran it into the ground.
Ugh.
And apparently nobody, like Mitch Lowe and the other guys, they haven't been heard from since. So who knows where they are? Probably sipping margaritas.
Who's even running it then? Well,
remember, it's just down right now.
Oh,
it's
that's
just
true.
like
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
just like there's still
someone has to be at the office. Someone has to be
I
working.
guess, but there's still, I think there's still, as far as I know, because there's still a thing. People are still being charged.
Yeah, which
So-
that's sad. Tell your friends, people. Like, don't. Quit
Yeah,
using
you gotta
MoviePass.
spread the word.
They're being hijinks at this point. Like, don't
save yourself.
No, I still need to check out the full story myself. I've just been seeing other articles running,
Yeah.
like specifically that stuff with MoviePass. So I haven't been able to read Business Insider's piece on the full thing of it, but no,
Yeah, it's
it
great.
just makes me shake my head more about
Yeah,
how crazy this
well, it
service
just made me
is.
laugh because you're reading the article and then in my head I'm like, I remember when we got that random email from MoviePass. I remember reading about this weird new plan that they had.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, that seems so weird.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Mhm.
And then you read this article and you're like, of course. It's just shady business tactics. It's like it always is.
Which is, it's sad, but it's true. That's how it
And-
always is.
I don't know. I want to see somebody go to jail. That would be so
Somehow,
cathartic.
some way, someone will.
Yeah, there were several statements from like attorneys and other people who were talking about how, because this is still so new, like the true details of this that are still coming out. It's a little too early to say, but
Sure.
most of them are like, this is definitely extremely unethical and most likely very illegal. So
It's just also crazy that someone may go to prison because they were screwing over people with movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Uh-huh.
movies are supposed to be fun.
I know,
They're
right?
supposed to be
well,
fun.
one of my favorite parts in the article is from another anonymous former employee. They're talking about how
Right.
Mitch Lowe, I'm paraphrasing, but they were quoting Mitch Lowe, and basically, like, he just hates his client or his customer base, like power users, me and you. He hated them, and he would just actively say out loud, like expletives towards us.
Right.
And so I'm just imagining, like, not that this is anyway how it would work, but in my head I imagined him like scrolling down this customer list and seeing our names. It's like, those two right there, like, screw them, change their password, freeze their account. They're never seeing another movie again.
But sir, they already canceled their subscription. What? How? How'd they already beat us to it?
It was a great read, but it made me so angry.
Yeah. Well, I need to check out that full article too, because I've only heard the bits and pieces from other places that have been writing about it. But
Yeah. It's
so
just
on
so
Business
funny that
Insider, right?
Yeah. It's just so funny that this is what like the start or like the catalyst of the movie theater subscriptions like service model was, and this is like the origin of it.
From
Just
the
makes me
shadiest
laugh.
of shady.
Yeah, the shadiest, just disgusting tactics possible gave birth to, because now all the other, like we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago, it gave birth to a good thing, if they can get it figured out.
It really is a good idea. They just
It
went
is. And
about
again,
it wrong.
it wasn't Mitch Lowe's idea, and that's what makes me so sad, because like the original guy that they fired,
Yeah.
it was his idea, and he knew from the beginning what would be realistic, but I just imagine, like, in the boardroom in the inevitable movie about MoviePass, it's like, guys, this is unethical. You're stealing from the people.
Oh, that's totally an
And then
Oscar-based
he slams
scene.
Mitch Lowe slams his hands on the table and he stands up. He's like, out! You're done! You're gone!
This is my company now. That's such a... Oh, I could see that movie now. I love it. Well, I mean, I don't love what's happening, but I love that could be a movie and that would be a scene. And movies are fun. They're supposed to be fun.
On a side note, the original founder, he's trying to use a Kickstarter to start his own new company, which is kind of creepy in theory, because what it is basically, it's called Pre-Show.
Okay.
And the idea of it is that you watch a certain amount, a certain length of advertised content, just commercials basically, and you can earn like free movie tickets, like free movie theater credits.
Huh.
But the way they do that apparently is like with facial recognition technology. So putting it super simply, the app or whatever is going to be watching you watch the ads, so it knows that you're staring at it. So if you look away for more than 5 seconds, it'll pause, and you'll have to,
No, that's too weird.
you'll have to to go back
I
and
can't
watch
do
it. So it's just like, I don't know, just the idea of that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But free movies?
But is
Maybe?
it is it ethical, and should I do it for free movies?
I don't know. Movies.
That is quite strange. I
Movies
don't know
are
if I can do that.
movies are about so much more now. It's so weird.
Yeah. So again, I know we talk about subscriptions a lot, but this story was too good to not at least like have a fun discussion about it.
Just wait. I'm telling you. Wolf of Wall Street 2 MoviePass edition.
The mammoth of MoviePass.
Yeah.
So tell your friends if they're still using it because it's all a Ponzi
Get them
scheme.
out. Get them out. But on a simpler, more, back to the enjoyment, the pure fun of the movies.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis, everybody's favorite motion capture extraordinaire, has been confirmed to be the director of the upcoming Venom 2.
Yeah. So basically, the previous director of Venom could not come back to direct because he's still working on Zombieland 2.
Double Tap. What's that guy?
Ruben
Fleischer?
Fleischer, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Again, I'm not Norwegian. I don't know if he's Norwegian. But yeah, he just can't come back, and they're really wanting Venom 2, obviously, to happen soon. So it was between Serkis, Travis Knight, and Rupert Wyatt. Rupert Wyatt of Rise of Planet of the Apes, and Travis Knight of Bumblebee, and some of the Leica movies that he made as well. And out of the three, it ends up being Andy Serkis that's going to direct Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Tom Hardy's also working on the script.
Yeah,
too.
Tom Hardy's like officially like in on the screenwriting, on the script writing process.
I don't know how I feel about that.
That makes me so happy. I love it.
Yeah, if it goes...
Well, because my biggest thing, why I loved Venom as much as I did,
yes,
in like
let's discuss.
in like the campy so bad it's good sort of way that I loved it, was because, Tom Hardy was just throwing everything at his character, at the scenes, because he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Let's just try everything at once and see if some of it sticks. And all of it ended up sticking in its own weird, absurd way, and it was just so consistently surprising. And so I imagine him like sitting down with, I forget her name. She wrote Saving Mr. Banks and the first 50 Shades of Grey adaptation scripts.
Oh, I'm trying to remember too. I'll look it up.
But I imagine the two of them sitting down and Tom Hardy just throwing out just the most absurd, crazy ideas.
More lobster tanks.
Yeah.
A sea of lobsters.
So that makes me happy.
He's just shaking. And
that makes me excited. But
is the writer Kelly Marcel?
Yeah, Kelly Marcel.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's cool that Andy Serkis is going to be doing that. He obviously knows the motion capture probably better than anybody out there.
Hope he makes it look better.
It looked amazing.
I still don't think it looked good.
Yeah, but it the way it looked perfectly mirrored everything else about the movie. Like the acting, the writing, the plotting, the lighting, everything was just like, that it was off, it was rushed, it was pieced together sloppily. And that's just what made it so great.
God, it's not what made it great, Eric. It's not. I mean, personally, I hope that Andy Serkis can turn that into a better direction. But I think Sony knows that they struck gold with what you're saying, and they're going to make him double down. I think that's how it's going to go. But my personal hope is that Serkis can turn it around and make a sequel that's better than the first.
Good superhero movies are overrated. We need more just trashy fun ones.
But that being said, though, I am pumped that Andy Serkis is getting this chance. I watched his Mowgli movie that was on Netflix, or still is, and he did a good job directing. It was something about it was just lackluster.
I didn't see Breathe either.
I do need to check that one.
Andrew
out.
Garfield and
was that Claire Foy?
I think it was.
It might have been.
That was his directorial debut from, I think, 2017. Yeah. I never saw that either. So I haven't seen anything that Serkis has directed, but, I mean, you can't make it worse than Venom 1. So I think he's going to do all right.
Unfortunately, you probably could. I think Sony will handle it.
If you got rid
better.
of Tom Hardy, then yeah, it would be worse. But
that's true.
It can be as bad. It could be the objectively worst thing ever. But if Tom Hardy just keeps doing what he did with the Eddie Brock character, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, like I said, they're totally gonna lean into that because they. I mean, do you remember the promotion for when it came out on digital and Blu-ray? Like, I felt like they really leaned into that.
Oh yeah, the whole like
promotion.
romance between
they
him and
made
the
a buddy
symbiote.
romance.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
After seeing that, I'm like, they
They're
know
like,
what they have.
Oh, okay, this isn't really what we intended, but the internet seems to love
800
this
million,
aspect
like
of
that.
it. So let's just pretend that was our plan all along.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen.
That's absolutely
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Completely.
Serkis is also a very humorous guy too. Like, he does have comedic chops, so I bet like he could be able to infuse a lot more comedic elements into Venom if that's the direction they're gonna go in. So at least maybe that will be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just hoping for better than Venom 1. But
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to rewatch Venom.
ugh.
But I'm scared too because maybe it won't be as
come
enjoyable as
back
I
and you're
remember
like,
it being.
Sometimes you just gotta leave it for what it was. That
Yeah,
nice
just,
little
it'll live
memory
on
that you
forever in my
had.
memory as just that trashy fun time at the
That's
theater.
so bad it's good.
Yeah, maybe I won't rewatch it ever again.
I might have convinced you. I might have saved you there. So Eric, is there any trailers that we should go over?
Well, if you're talking about the true story of Shia LaBeouf,
You know I am.
yeah, Honey Boy. I remember reading about this movie a while ago, like when it was kind of, it was like people were being signed on for it, and then I read that it, because at the time people seemed to think it was like explicitly an autobiographical film. They were like, Shia LaBeouf's playing his dad, Lucas Hedges is playing like an older version of him, this kid's playing a younger version of him. But then as time went on, it was like, no, it's not directly about that.
Is it though?
But all it did was like change the names. It's
Yeah.
obviously about Shia LaBeouf's life, which is,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Shia wrote it. Shia wrote the
it's-
thing. Yeah.
I mean, the trailer itself, it's called Honey Boy. I don't know if we said the name yet. Honey Boy is the name of the
I
trailer.
think we did. The movie is called Honey Boy.
Yeah.
Boy, you just blinked out there.
No, I'm just trying to think of like, because the most interesting part of this is Shia LaBeouf as a person, as like a what he's been through. Because
Yeah.
like, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but you know, he kind of exploded. Obviously, there was the Even Stevens and stuff when he was younger.
Classic show.
Holes,
Love that show.
amazing movie.
Yes.
Holes is a perfect movie. But I
Well
would say
said.
obviously like Transformers is like when he exploded and he got like
Yeah.
super big, and then got
Indiana
really
Jones followed
weird and did his whole performance art stuff. So you know he's been through a lot of different
Yeah.
stages, phases.
Have you heard of that traveling expedition thing that he did? He basically said on Twitter, "Hey, I'm going to announce what locations I'm in, and if anyone wants to pick me up and drive me somewhere, go right ahead." And like he
That's
did
so Shia.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess he did that for a little while too. But that just reminded me of that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, my point is he's been through a lot. He's done a lot of stuff. He has a lot of different sides to him that the public knows.
Yeah.
Because when I heard about this movie, you know, he's 33 years old. I'm like, that's pretty young. Like, at what point is there a point where like, okay, you're old enough, you have enough experience. It's not a weird thing to make a movie about your life. But knowing Shia, it's probably not just a straight up retelling of his life. It's probably some weird experimental kind of artsy way for him to kind of look back and, you know, figure out what made him who he is.
Yeah.
But the trailer itself, I thought it was really well done.
It is.
It's really stylized in a unique looking way. Shia is, I don't know, he's difficult to look at in parts, playing obviously his dad. He's like this balding, sad, drunk failure of a man
And he takes that
who's
failure
like
out on his son.
who's like 8-year-old son has to pay his bills.
Yeah, because he's so successful.
It's just such a weird dynamic. But I'm excited. I don't know. The trailer's really hard to describe because it, like I said, it has that kind of experimental, almost montage like feel to it. But I don't think people should write this off as just Shia tooting his own horn or anything like that, because, you know, if you can read past like the sensationalized headlines and like the superficial drama of the stuff he's done, he always has like a purpose that he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
It's not just for the sake of being an artiste.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think a project of this scale, he's obviously considered and contemplated very thoroughly. So I'm wondering what he's trying to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Shia LaBeouf.
No, I'm really excited for this movie, especially after seeing this trailer. I think it's gonna, if people know Shia's career and his personal life, I guess, if they know it well enough, I think they'll recognize like what this movie is that it's going to be looking back on Shia's life, kind of in the way that you're saying, like not directly, but just kind of in a...
Not like the true story, like a award season biopic of Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a straight up biopic, but it's just gonna be a reflective piece.
Yeah,
that's maybe fictionalized, but also has some deep truths within itself. I think people are gonna recognize it in some shots, like there's shots of him when he was in Even Stevens, like there's kind of recreations of that.
Yeah,
there's
just
in the beginning,
Even
there's
Stevens.
a shot of him in Transformers with the classic no,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that was his thing on the movies and whatever. I do hope people give this trailer and this movie a chance and not write off Shia, because he really is a talented dude, and I think he actually has been calming down these past couple of years.
Oh yeah.
And has been growing a lot more, and especially with Peanut Butter Falcon coming out, if that hits, I think people will be drawn again.
Yeah,
to
he's
him a lot.
fantastic in most of like the movies he's done.
Even like
in
the
past
bad ones,
few
he's
years.
good.
Like Fury, I remember that movie. He was by far the best part of that movie, I thought.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Fury.
Yeah, he's super good.
He
in
was
that.
good. I mean, even in like, say what you will about Transformers or Indiana Jones 4, but you know, he did do a very good job in
Yeah,
them,
no, he
I
takes
thought.
his job seriously.
Yeah.
He is
Disturbia.
an actor.
I mean, Disturbia is a good movie. If people,
Oh, yeah,
that
it
was
was a
that
good
when he
movie.
was rising up as like a movie star type of actor, and
I haven't thought about that in a while. That was a good one.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Surf's Up. Come on, people. If you grew up with Surf's Up, he was great as the lead penguin or something. I don't know. I don't remember much of Surf's Up, but I'm just saying, like, he's shown like he has the talent, and I'm not doubting his talent for making this movie, or at least writing this movie anyway. I think if people give this a chance, they'll see what he's trying to tell, and I think people are really going to enjoy that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much all we have for this. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Again, it's August. We apologize.
But we do what we can.
We do what we can.
So if you take anything away from this, save every person that you know from MoviePass.
And give Shia a chance.
Give Shia a chance. And go see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah, speaking of that, we also have other releases other than Scary Stories, like Dora and the Lost City of Gold, The Kitchen, Brian Banks, which doesn't have like the widest of releases, but it should be playing in quite a few theaters, and The Art of Racing in the Rain, or as Eric calls it, Gravelly Costner Puppy Voice.
I mean, you just gotta watch the trailer. How can you think of it as anything other than that?
Yeah. That's all I can think about it. But which ones do you think are going to be performing well, or do you think every other release that's come
I
out
think
is
Hobbs
gonna
and
take
Shaw is going to
over?
hold over. That'll still be number one.
Yeah, I agree.
Of the new releases, I would have liked to see Scary Stories take number 2, but I think Dora will, just because.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's the end of summer. It's kind of back to school, but like next week and the week after, families are going to be definitely prioritizing getting the school supplies, getting all those things in order. So this is, sort of the last kind of weekend where they can kind of just have fun, go out.
Sure.
And that's by far the most like all ages type movie. Because, I mean, like I said, Scary Stories is intense. So I think purely for that reason, it'll take number 2. I don't really think The Kitchen, Brian Banks, or Racing in the Rain are going to do really anything, unfortunately.
I hope The Kitchen does, or at least I hope The Kitchen is a good enough movie. I haven't been
pretty poor reviews.
Yeah, and I've been seeing the writing on the wall for the last couple of weeks that it may not be that good, but I'm really hoping it is, because I thought like the trailer was really good. But I'll be checking that out over the weekend and hopefully have something up for everyone on Monday. But Hopefully the kitchen will do well, but you might be right, Eric.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely let you know about that. What about Racing in the Rain? You don't think?
No, I don't. All of those are going to be negligible. It'll be like bottom 5, which will amount to like, I don't even know, low single-digit million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just unfortunately how it is.
Yeah, some stuff has to be beat out by
Hobbs and Shaw already
movies.
underperformed, and if it's going to hold over and stay at the top, which I most likely will,
I think it will too.
that, you know, by nature, the others just can't make that much.
Mm-hmm. And Lion King already made $1 billion in 2 weeks, so it doesn't matter. Which is crazy.
I hate people.
Oh, goodness. Well, yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our podcast episode today. Next week, Cody will be back, and she'll have seen Hobbs and Shaw, so we'll talk a bit more in depth about that.
Super excited for that.
Yeah, we'll see what she thinks of it, and we'll have other stuff for you too, hopefully. So thanks for listening, guys. You can check out the podcast on... I always forget what's called, Apple Podcasts. I'm just going to call it Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, they changed. It's not iTunes anymore. At least it won't be. It'll be... Apple Music / Apple Podcast / Apple Radiance. Stupid.
Just find us on the Apple. But we also have our podcast up at silverscreeninsider.com, as well as articles, all trailers for new releases, and as well as the reviews that we have too, which will include Eric's very soon. So check us out there as well. All right, guys, have a good one.